What's up, devs? Welcome to the very first video, or should I say episode, of game development. Woo! Today we're going to be talking about code editors that you can use for developing games in Unity. Now beware, the code editors that I'm going to talk about today are only regarding game development in Unity. I'm not considered other engines, they might be compatible, but you might want to double check on that. So let's get into 4 code editors that you can use for developing games in Unity. Let's get started. Number 1, Visual Studio Code. If you have just begun your journey in game development, you might have heard about this code editor. It's an excellent editor, not just for game development, but also other projects. And the best part is it's completely free. That's right, completely free, and it's open source too. That means you can also contribute to the project via a GitHub repo. The only downside to using Visual Studio Code is that you have to install a ton of things to get it working for game development specific to Unity, of course. So you're gonna have to install an .NET IDE for setting up a environment. You're gonna have to install multiple plugins, OmniSharp, which is basically the auto-completion tool used by VS Code for Unity, and there's a lot of stuff. Visual Studio is a completely free tool which is available for Windows, Mac OS, and Linux. So on the screen you will see the pros and cons for Visual Studio Code. If this is the perfect editor for you, then I will have the download link in the description. I will also link a document in the description that will tell you all the different things you need to download to get a game development working in Visual Studio Code. So that's it about Visual Studio Code. Let's move on to the next editor. Number 2, Atom. Again, just like Visual Studio Code, Atom is also a free and open source text editor developed by GitHub. This was a very popular, and it still is a very popular code editor. It took the world by storm, and it had a tons of plugins for support written in JavaScript. But as soon as Microsoft took it over, the development for Atom kind of just shut down. You know, there were no more updates for Atom as the specific code editor, which is, I think, what turned into Visual Studio Code at first. But you can still download Atom, and you can still access the source code on GitHub. So if you want to download Atom, the link will be in the description down below. It is available for Windows, Mac OS, and Linux. On the screen, you will see the pros and cons for Atom, the code editor. That's it for Atom. We'll move on to our next code editor. When Unity first released, all the coding was done in a framework called MonoDevelop. This tool was used for building the foundations of Xamarin Forms. But shortly after, again, Microsoft decided to take it over and turn it into what is now known as Visual Studio. So Visual Studio is a freemium tool which is available for Windows and Mac OS. Originally it was only developed for Windows, but people liked it so much that they decided to make a Mac version for it. On screen you will see the pros and cons for Visual Studio. The only difference between Visual Studio and Visual Studio Code is that Visual Studio is an IDE. If you don't know what IDE means, it's basically an integrated development environment. Basically, all that plugin stuff we had to install for Visual Studio Code, you don't need to do that. Nada, zero, zip. Basically, all that is pre-installed, and you don't need to do any kind of setup in order to start working for, say, C# or Python or anything like that. So that's the one of the great pros of Visual Studio. But then again, there are some cons, like there are some features which are available for Windows but not available for Mac, and that just kind of sucks. So if you're a Mac user, you know, you don't got a lot of features which are really good. Now moving on to our 4th and final code editor for this video. Number 4, Rider. Rider, developed by JetBrains, is again, just like Visual Studio, an IDE for creating desktop applications. What's really cool about Rider is that it provides special support for Unity. So there's extra plugins, or there's support specifically for Unity game development. The only downside to Rider is that it's paid. Out of all the editors that we discussed today, this is the only, editor that is paid, and it's like $13.90 per month. So I don't recommend this to any beginner or someone who's just starting with game development. I recommend that you go for Visual Studio or Visual Studio Code instead. On screen you will see the pros and cons for Rider. And that's just about it. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, then please smash the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't, share this video with other fellow game developers, and I will see you guys in the next video. Also, just a quick note, yep, I have been working on other game videos. There's one about Fortnite's final live event for Season 5. There's also one regarding the FNAF security breach trailer, and I'm super excited to do that. It's currently in production, and I can't wait to shoot it and publish it out, so it's gonna be really cool. Thank you guys for watching again. See you later.